the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 238 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, it was a motorsports holiday this weekend. We had plenty of racing to enjoy. I think I enjoyed a little bit more of it than you.
Yeah, I was wrangling pretty much all weekend long. So we were camping and we were up north and driving back, and that does not bode well for motorsports consumption. However, the Coke 600 was late enough where I was able to fully enjoy. So that was good.
Yeah,
good. I was checking in on the Indy 500 as much as possible, though.
Yeah. It was a great weekend of motorsports. We had lots of action. I didn't watch a bad. Well, I take that back. I did watch a bad race this weekend. I watched the ARCA race too. We're not going to talk about that one. Yeah, we're not going to talk about. Well, maybe it'll come up later, but that's it. But we'll spend a lot of time on the Coca-Cola 600, I think, because there was plenty of action there. Our notes are actually pretty short for this race, but I think there's a lot to discuss, James.
Oh, yeah.
So before we get into it, I messed with our setup again here. So just in case something funky happens and it sounds weird, I will hear it this week and fix it for next week. So I think it sounds okay, but give us some feedback if something sounds bad. But hopefully
if you hear me sipping on my drink, that's my apologies there too. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, or me coughing in the background, which continues to happen. I've had this cough for like a month and a half now, so I don't know.
You've got that. What's it called? That long-term Rona or whatever.
Long haul COVID.
You're a long hauler.
I might be, man. I don't know. I know I'm testing negative for it, so I'm not positive, but something, man. Allergies or whatever. Who knows?
You're not positive about a lot of things, Eric.
Exactly. So. Yeah, that's the story of my life. But what I am positive about, James, is we had the Coca-Cola 600 on Sunday evening. And let me just go here we'll start with this. 5 hours, 13 minutes, and 8 seconds was the time of race. And this would normally be the point where I start bitching about how long this race was. But, James, it was 600 miles of freaking action.
Yeah, it was, boy. And that last 100 laps really cranked up the momentum because it was just... We had comers and goers, attrition from the tires. We had different pit calls late because there were so many crazy cautions, and we had a long run late. So that caused some stuff. And at the end of the day, Denny Hamlin, basically, we joked not too long ago that maybe he might miss the playoffs. He's officially in now.
Yeah, he's locked in
so
for
he's
sure.
got that second win. Yeah, he's got that second win, so he's feeling good. But yeah, for a 5-hour race to be entertained from start to finish, Eric, I can't recall ever having a race go on like this and have it be so good. This next gen car with these 1.5 mile ovals really is a special, it really isn't a special moment right here.
Yeah, everywhere but Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, I found myself with 10 to go. I think I want to say it was Jim Utter that tweeted it, or maybe it was Matt Weaver tweeted, 5 hours of this, and I want more. And I was with them, man. Yeah. I didn't want it to end.
Yeah,
it was a terrific race, and I mean we saw almost everything that you could. The only thing I think we didn't see is a fight. Short of a fight.
Yeah.
We had everything you could dream of in this race. We had great racing. Oh, maybe green flag pit stops. If you're a fan of green flag pit stops, we didn't really get that opportunity either. But we saw tires go down. We saw a car flip down the front stretch.
Yep.
Yeah, just incredible. We saw. Let's see. We had 18 caution flags for 90 laps, 31 lead changes among 13 drivers in this one. We've got
20 cars running at the finish.
Yeah,
half the field.
I mean, Ross Chastain in any other race would have dominated with 153 laps led, but that's not even half the race. We had, let's see, Chase Elliott led 86 laps. Daniel Suarez led 36 laps. Kyle Larson led
Snake bit
51.
again.
Yeah. And Kyle Busch looked like he had a pretty good shot at it, leading 36. And then a bunch of single-digit guys in there, too.
Yeah, and we really should talk about Tyler Reddick again.
Yeah.
Looked really strong and then had trouble and rallied. A lot of guys rallied.
Well, everybody had trouble. They had the stat at the end of the race was
Yes.
the only car on the lead lap that didn't have damage from a wreck was the 42 car of Ty Dillon.
Which is the most incredible stat.
Yeah.
I mean, if one car is going to get damaged during a race, it's usually Ty Dillon, and for him to stay clean was pretty special.
Yeah.
So yeah. But man, it was. A lot of people have called for the 600 to come to an end. As far as 600 miles doesn't really matter anymore. But boy, did it matter on Sunday? We needed all 600 plus miles that we got to really seal the deal on how great this race was.
Yeah, I saw the first instance, James, of drivers complaining about how hard the cars are to drive. Not enjoying the fact that they're hard to drive, but complaining about the fact that they're hard to drive.
Got what you wanted, boys.
Yeah.
Go drive them.
Yeah, got what you wanted, got what we wanted. I mean, this is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see these great drivers spin out in the turns, and that's what's happening. The tires have certainly amplified it. We certainly have some tire issues. I don't know if you want to say issues. I guess, when you don't have an inner liner and you're cutting tires down and putting cars in the wall, it's an issue. And it's probably something that we need to work on and get fixed. But, again, it's attrition that we wanted, just maybe not quite the way we wanted it to happen.
Well, and I think people need to also remember that you can't manufacture tires
right
at a week by week basis, right?
Yeah.
You want this thing to be fixed, but it really doesn't work that way. We can't go to Gateway this week and be like, hey, we just made all these tires for you to use up here at Gateway. Those tires have been done and banked for a long time before we even get to these places. So,
as a matter of fact, aren't they testing tires at Michigan today?
I believe, they were in Michigan today and tomorrow, or tomorrow and the next day, something like that. Yeah, I was jonesing to maybe get down there, but that would have been totally cool. But that's okay.
Yeah, I don't even know where to really start with this because I mean, we could break it down by stage. We tend to not just review the whole race anymore. What's a standout moment, James, you want to discuss in this thing? I mean, let's start with this. Let's start with Denny Hamlin. Now, the guy who we counted out at the beginning of the season that is now locked into the playoffs, ready to run for a championship, and also starting to run well here as the season winds along, suddenly becoming a threat again.
Yeah, basically he's tied for the 1 seed with the wins. He's got 2 wins now. That leads the series with Chastain and Byron. He's his 3 top 10s still. This bumped up his average finish to 19.5, so he's still coming back. But yeah, like you said, wasn't a dominating performance. He had the pole, won the race, but had no business basically winning this race. Kind of both of his wins this year were kind of that way.
Yeah,
just kind of found his way. Outlast, and honestly, I didn't think he was going to hold Kyle Busch off on a late restart. I mean, I thought for sure Kyle was going to get him, but kudos to Hamlin and that team for getting him in the right spot, in the right position to win that thing late.
One guy that I would put against Kyle Busch to maybe beat him on a restart, it would probably be Denny Hamlin.
It's Hamlin. Yeah, it's Hamlin, Larson, and on the right day, Kevin Harvick still for me would be the only guys I would even suggest. Beating Kyle Busch, but
maybe someone like a Ross Chastain, but then you're talking somebody's gonna wreck.
Yeah, well, Ross, Fox was talking up Ross's restartability in this race too, and Kyle Larson absolutely took him to school a couple of times. So
and then it's really hard to restart when your car is destroyed from a wreck previous.
Yes, and he's got no he had no pusher. Denny did have that fortune of having Joey Logano behind him to get him out clear too.
Yep.
Which Kyle Busch didn't. Kyle Busch had I don't know how Ross Chastain was even able to line up in the second row, to be honest with you, after that. But he did kind of spin it and save it. So
yeah, there's
NASCAR gave him a spot.
There's a lot of question of whether he should have been there to begin with, which nobody's really talked about. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was gonna say too about towards the end of this race, Eric, before we even got to that point, NASCAR was swallowing that flag.
Oh yeah.
And it just
They
made
did
me
everything
laugh
they could to not throw the caution at the end of this race.
Yeah, because the battles were so epic.
Yeah.
I mean, Larson and Briscoe was just an epic battle, and there was a lot of stuff going on all around the track. And
Well, was
and,
there
yeah,
a car that
NASCAR
didn't hit the wall in the last 10 laps? I mean, everybody hit the wall.
I have no. I mean, yeah, it was, and Chris Bell was losing a tire, and and it was just. I mean, I couldn't. I just found it so funny to me that when you have a great race like this, how the flag can't come out because we got some really good racing going on towards the end of the race. So we definitely wanted to see some guys being chased down for sure.
Right. We saw one of the freakiest accidents we've seen at Charlotte Motor Speedway in a while when Chris Buescher went barrel rolling, not 8 times like several people were tweeting, but 4.5 times down the front stretch after the. I guess people were blaming the turf at first. Boyer blamed a drainage spot in the infield. The turf didn't help it any, but personally, I think that car would have flipped on the asphalt too. That front wheel, we continue to tear suspension off of these cars like Indy cars, and it gets underneath these things and it's like a pogo. It just popped the thing up in the air and over it went. Fortunately, Chris Buescher's okay. He said that was a rougher ride than when he flipped at Talladega a few years ago.
Well, that wreck had me say wow twice because we had the huge contact from when Daniel Suarez came back.
And it could have been so much worse too.
Yeah, that
driver's side
really,
to the field just bearing down. That was a scary wreck.
Yeah, who hit him there? Was that
it was? Well, he got hit in the rear end. I don't remember who hit him in the rear end, and then Buescher slid into him.
Yeah, but man, that was a big hit he took, and I was like, wow. And then all of a sudden, Buescher comes in and he just starts tumbling, and I went, what in the heck happened?
Yeah.
And when you slow it down, it's easy to break it down. But in the moment, when you're watching the race live, and all of a sudden the cars just starts tumbling down the track, I haven't seen that since, I guess at Charlotte since Ricky Bobby, down the backstretch.
Right. I mean, we've had a couple flips at Charlotte, but it's been a long time since we've seen it happen. We've seen cars get airborne a few times, but upside down is pretty rare anymore. At Charlotte.
Well, this is 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row, this car's gotten off the ground in 2 different ways.
Yeah.
And both, I guess, the similarity being the right front of these cars in 2 different impacts have left the ground. So that might be something for us to just kind of keep an eye on as we move forward here.
Yeah, I was arguing with people on Twitter after this too that wanted now the AstroTurf to be removed and want it paved down there on the infield and all this stuff.
I was giving you a hard time about this.
And it's like, so I get this is the first this AstroTurf's been installed since the Roval. So what, 5 years now we've had this AstroTurf, I think, roughly.
About that, yeah. Yep.
So, and this is the first time we've had a car hook into it and flip. It's saved how many cars that have slid through this turf. I don't think that the turf, it didn't help things any, but it might have happened anyway. I don't know. It just the biggest thing is we got this big space to put sponsors down on the front stretch. That's why these tracks have it. If you pave it, you run into a situation with NASCAR where you either let everybody race down there like they do at Phoenix, and that's just stupid. Or you now have a yellow line rule because you have to set some sort of boundary, and we don't want that either. We could have that on the super speedways, and we hate it. So you have to have somewhere that they can't run physically. And my argument's always been, we've talked about getting rid of grass. I don't want to see cars flip because of it, but there should be a penalty if you spin out, and there is. So I'm all right with keeping it.
Yeah. Yeah, and my only thought is the turf less forgiving than natural grass?
In this instance, but this is it. This is
this is the one time. Yeah.
And I tell you what, James, if the tire comes off like this in the grass, it does the same thing. Ryan Newman flipped at Daytona years ago because of this. Michael Waltrip flipped at Daytona because of this. We've had tires hook into the dirt a ton of times before too. I think we're going to see this sort of thing more often with this car because of the fact that there's no interliner. So you go right straight down to the rim, and then the front end, the suspension breaks off, but it's tethered to the car, so it can't go anywhere, and it's going to hook underneath the thing. And are we going to see this constantly? No, but I bet you we see it 1 or 2 times a year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would agree with you there. And, I haven't had a chance to listen to SiriusXM this week at all, Eric, but I can only imagine this has probably been the biggest topic of conversation.
Yeah, I honestly, this is 100% my opinion this week because I didn't listen to any podcasts. I didn't listen to anything that influenced me whatsoever except for following Twitter the night of the race. So,
yeah, and you and I were cracking at each other a little bit because I know you're a turf guy, and it just made me laugh.
I had tweeted earlier in the race that it was great to have the turf here, and we should have it at all the tracks. And then Buescher hooks and flips because of it. It's like, oh, maybe
cold takes exposed.
Maybe we should do that.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to worry about it when the Roval comes around. We ain't going fast enough up there to do anything with it. But definitely, definitely was an interesting one for sure. It was definitely, I would say, the moment of the race that we'll probably remember. Similar to Austin Dillon at Daytona a few years back. You just have this crazy thing happen, and you're I mean, all heck breaks loose. It's crazy.
Not only did we have that, we had 2 other big ones in this race.
Oh man,
wrecks on restarts, which you get those at any track, but certainly when they're bunched up like this. I mean, we had leaders passing each other for position without having to get stuck behind a lap car or something. Man, this is just, and the resin worked. They were running up by the wall at Charlotte. It was just amazing. I mean, literally, green flag lap, the very first lap of the race, there's cars a half a car width off the wall coming out of turns 3 and 4. This race delivered everything. I know people are actually, I think there's less talk, James, about the incident as there is people saying that we need to bring the All-Star race back to Charlotte after this race.
Can you believe all the years we've tried to kill the All-Star race at Charlotte?
Right.
And now we want the race back at Charlotte. We want our 600 miles left alone. The new car seems to be fixing most of our problems, which is kind of interesting.
I'll tell you what, man. I'm applauding this. Every mile-and-a-half track that we go to that has great racing with this car, I'm just saying, man, Kentucky, Chicagoland, let's open those places back up, man. Get back out there.
Yep, less road courses.
I'm ready, man. I am so ready to go back.
I can't believe it.
I'm so ready to go back to Chicagoland. There's rumors. There's rumors it's coming back.
They built this car to be adaptable everywhere and to be able to race in a football stadium and on street courses and road courses, and it's performed the best right in NASCAR's bread and butter, cookie cutter tracks. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's the car that NASCAR's been trying to build for decades.
Yep.
And it's
Eric, we got a couple more moments I want to make sure we touch on really quick. Before we get to I want to talk about the Briscoe-Larson battle really quick.
Yeah.
But before we get there, that late restart when Austin Dillon had those 4 fresh tires, how awesome was that battle coming into turn 4?
That was pretty incredible.
He was just flying. It was awesome. What a run he had.
I honestly,
4 tires really made a difference out there.
Yeah, it did. And Austin noted it in his post wreck interview that maybe he should have backed the turn up a little bit more, because I think he
was going to get it.
I think if you look at the replay again, Hamlin was going to come out with the lead there. I think Hamlin had it regardless, but Dillon was going to come out in second and very good, but because he ran in there so hard and never lifted, he pushed up just that little bit and caused
Larson up and
caused that 3 wide and eventually caused the wreck coming out of turn 4. But man, that was just, I was like, holy cow, Austin Dillon's going to win this race.
Well, and it repeated itself on the very last restart of the race. Christopher Bell, if you remember, he had a flat.
Yep.
And he was pretty much out to lunch, got a couple of cautions, got back on the lead lap. He restarted somewhere around the 13th or 14th spot in that last restart. And Eric, if you look at the finishing spot, he finished 5th, and I feel like nobody was talking about that. He was flying through the field.
Yeah.
If we had like 2 or 3 more laps, I think Christopher Bell might have won this race at the rate he was coming. It was incredible.
Well,
I love when we see tire attrition and four
Oh,
tires
yeah.
can make a difference like that. It's just really cool. Really, really cool.
Well, how about your ninth place finisher, James, who had the worst race of his career in the first 300 laps of this race, Kyle Larson? I mean, they were out to lunch. He spun twice, right? Didn't he spin twice?
36th.
Yeah, he started in the back.
Caught on fire.
Yeah, caught on fire.
Pit road penalties.
Yeah, like crazy. Every pit stop he had a pit road penalty, and he comes back. Not only finishes ninth, but really had a winning car until he got caught up and stuff.
He had 2 chances to win the race. One was he beat Chastain and was getting tracked down by Chase Briscoe, which we can talk about real quick.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I just really enjoyed that battle. Chase Briscoe, I know he has these wrecks late, but just continues to impress with, he doesn't he just comes out of nowhere and he can hang with these guys.
Yeah.
I wish he I know what it is, I think, Eric, and I think it's just impatience from a young driver, or maybe too much patience.
Well, it helps.
What do you think? Because
it helps he's got to win
on what happened there.
Yes, so he doesn't.
And he can be a little more reckless, right?
Yeah, he can push it a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's inexperience. It's just not quite knowing where that limit is yet, and part of it is the car. Everybody's learning that limit, but he's pushing it a little bit further. I mean, I was really impressed with his patience because there were a couple times where he screwed up and lost ground, and he was still able to build back and come back and bring it to Larson one more time to the point where he got next to him. I mean, it's really easy for us. It's easy for us to say, he's pushing it too hard when, I mean, Larson spun out, Kyle Busch spun out, Chase Elliott spun out.
That's what you want.
Ryan Blaney spun out and wrecked half the field. I mean, these guys are all spinning out. So is he really pushing too hard, or did he just find the limit at a different point where everybody else found it?
And I think, too, what I'm impressed by is we have a NASCAR champion in Joey Logano. And Darlington, we talked about how we really hated that move.
Right.
Because he didn't race Byron for the win. I credit Chase Briscoe with racing Kyle Larson like the champion Kyle Larson is and showing him that respect. So many of these young guys now would go in there, give him the bumper, race him dirty. And even while he was spinning, Chase kept it off of Kyle.
Yeah, Briscoe wrecked himself to not wreck Larson, which may have been remnants of Bristol.
I think some of that was there too. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, he cost Reddick the chance to win there. So maybe he was thinking about that as he got underneath him. But I think he could have leaned on Larson and probably made the pass without wrecking himself, and Larson would have been in the wall. But I think he if he had a little bit more patience, he didn't need to go for it on that lap there. I think he could have played the long game a little bit more, because he was faster. He could have ended up getting him. But we've seen Chase Briscoe track down Kyle Busch in the Xfinity Series and win at Darlington in a similar fashion, and we've also seen him go the other way where he's wrecked Denny Hamlin at Indianapolis. Right. In a race he didn't have to wreck him, and he wrecked Tyler Reddick. I enjoy the journey we're on with someone like Chase Briscoe. Yeah. I feel like he's earning respect. He's taking his lumps at the same time, but it's great to see his progress right now, and he comes home with the 4th place finish. I mean, that team rallied, which was great to see too. Yeah, definitely. I don't know. And I think I was making a point about the other Larson moment too, which that was that battle we were talking about with when Austin Dillon came flying through. Yeah, kind of wiped everybody out. But yeah, it was. I don't know. Larson was all over the place, and just he's a heck of a driver, man. He really is just impressive all the time. Yeah, everywhere we go. I agree. Denny Hamlin gets his 48th victory in 592 Cup Series races. James, we like to play the game. Still 17th all time, but he is tied with Herb Thomas, who has 48 wins as well. He is now one win away from tying Tony Stewart with 49 at 15th. Right. Junior Johnson, Ned Jarrett, both at 50, just ahead of Denny Hamlin as well. So, he'll get 50. Yeah, he'll get 50. I mean, I'm pretty confident in that. And I argued. I think I argued, if not, I should have argued earlier in the season that regardless of the way he's running, all it takes is a couple wins and to get that crap underway. And Hamlin's going to be a threat again. He's going to be a threat to make that Final Four, and you never know what happens once you get there. So
he's got that crap figured out.
Yeah,
as you said.
Yeah.
He matched his win total from last year. He was really good last year with his 25 top tens, and was one of his best years ever with only 2 wins last year, but still a great season. And this season's the complete opposite, his worst season ever. And he's got 2. So he's got 2 in the bank, ready to go. He'll be ready.
Let's talk about Kevin Harvick a little bit. Third place finish for Kevin Harvick. Again, we know what happened in this race. But still, a third place finish for Harvick. Harvick has been clicking off these finishes that are toward the front of the pack, but not competing for wins.
He's been doing that for 2 years, I feel like.
Right. I mean, is it going to shift?
Poor guy.
Are we going to see Harvick take that extra step to get there? He's so close.
Yeah, well, Eric, these Stewart-Haas cars came alive late in that race, and man,
they'll do that. They'll do that when there's only 20 cars left.
Yeah, right. But you had Chase Briscoe battling for the win before that, and Cole Custer had a nice strong run going for a minute too. So yeah, I mean, it was. I just feel like that team is just almost there, but I feel like they've been there for another year and a half here.
Yeah,
where he's been off, but not quite that far off. He's still good enough to overachieve when given the opportunity.
Right. Let's see. Harrison Burton was the highest finishing rookie with an 11th place finish. Chase Elliott is your points leader right now, 34 points over Ross Chastain. Anything else with the 600 worth talking about? I mean, it was a almost 5.5 hour long race, James. We should be able to get at least a couple hours out of it, right?
Yeah, I feel like we should. Yeah, it was just a lot. I mean, it was a lot. Great race. Man, this is the kind of stuff that keeps the juices flowing.
Yeah. One of the best 600s we've ever
this
seen.
Race was so good.
Certainly a best 600 in recent memory. There's been a lot of snoozers,
yes.
and this one was not one of them.
No, it was not. This was from start to finish, high octane, guys wrecking early, all over. I mean, it was, man, it's just incredible. Just incredible.
I wanted to buzz through a little bit more of the Sunday racing, just to discuss them real quick. Marcus Ericsson gets a win. He wins his first Indianapolis 500 earlier in the day. Big strategy race with the Ganassi teams. Scott Dixon, I can't remember who the other Ganassi driver was that was going back and forth at the front, trading the lead, trying to save fuel mileage, and neither of them ended up in the race at the end. But it was Marcus Ericsson with the other Ganassi car that gets the win. Jimmy did not run great in this race. not what we were hoping for. He had a moment on the first lap of the race and went backwards and really never dug out of that, 15th-ish on back place. He did end up leading a lap in this one, thanks to pit strategy. Stayed out one extra lap and led a lap. And then gets wrecks with 8 laps to go to create a spectacular finish at the end of this race. But fortunately he's okay. He went nose first into the turn 2 wall. Turn 2, man, was the place. It was a dangerous spot here at Indy this weekend.
Yes, it was.
And Jimmy came out okay, walked away from it, but it was a pretty good lick for Jimmy.
Yeah, scary. I mean, these Indy cars are scary when they get going like that.
Dude, when they're going 240 miles an hour, it doesn't matter what. They can go in a straight line 240. Right. They're scary.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yep.
Guys are crazy.
Yeah. Well, they're driving them at 236 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
They're not Jimmy, lifting in the turns. They're going wide open around this racetrack that's flat. It's what, like 8 degrees or 12 degrees in the corners is all? It's ridiculous.
They're 90-degree turn in here. Yeah. Well, Jimmy Johnson, we can always say he led the Indy 500 and he was the rookie of the race.
Yep.
So
much to the chagrin of some of the other rookies that were in this race.
Yeah. But that's okay.
Yeah.
We were hoping for more from Jimmy, but it's a hard discipline to learn at the end of your career. He's He's been trying to figure it out, but he's got a couple more ovals left. Maybe we'll see some flashes here again.
I would argue too that this field, when Kurt Busch did the double, this field is a lot more stacked than it was back then. Even when Tony Stewart was racing, when Tony raced in the IRL was the second tier, open wheel series. Kart really had all the drivers back then. IRL was full of no-name open wheel guys. And then when Tony did the double, when Robbie Gordon did the double, I mean, all those, I think the field's a lot more stacked than it was back then. I mean, you got the Scott Dixons
some really
in the
good
field.
Drivers.
Marcus Ericsson, a former Formula One driver. We've got several of those.
Roman Grosjean.
Yeah.
Really a solid, Roman Grosjean's a really solid F1 driver, and he's, he finished 31st in this race because of a crash.
Yeah. Definitely,
Marcus
definitely
Ericsson,
a great field.
I forgot about Marcus Ericsson for a hot second, and then he was out there winning this race, and I was like, oh, yeah I remember that guy, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he's the one that rode the wheelie last year at Nashville and still went on to win the race.
Yeah.
So, nice to see fans in the stands at Indy, see it packed, see the snake pit operational once again. Get to see
our
Roger.
Friend Derek Winter was in the house.
Yeah, he was in turn 2. He was in the action turn, man.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, totally.
And good to see Roger Penske give the command at the beginning of the race. That was cool. So we kicked off Sunday with the Monaco Grand Prix in Monaco for the Formula One series. Start delayed due to rain. James, we like to complain about NASCAR and race control making stupid decisions. But Formula One really had everybody scratching their heads at the start of this one, waiting to start a race when it's not raining because rain is coming. When they race in the rain, I mean, it was silly, to the point that
that's F1. That's F1.
The Sky Racing broadcast was just giving it to race control. It was interesting. It was really interesting to see. But the wet track at Monaco left for a pretty exciting race. By Monaco standards, I mean, Monaco's traditionally not a great race.
It's just a prestige race.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's
Monaco
the spectacle of it.
Yeah, it's a parade.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's a parade of racing.
When you ride on board in one of these cars and watch the onboard view and watch them racing the speeds that they're running through these tight streets, there's no question why you can't pass. But it's still, I mean, this is the Darlington of Formula One. You race the racetrack, you don't race the other cars.
Yes.
And Sergio Perez gets his first Monaco Grand Prix victory on this one. Charles Leclerc once again cost a victory at his home race.
Yeah, dumb pit road call.
Yes.
For those, or boxing, right? Now we're talking F1. We gotta make sure we get our lingo right.
It started out with going to the intermediate tires when everybody else went straight to the slicks, and then coming in on the same lap as his teammate. Just a terrible pit call.
Yeah.
Costing the race, and what a bummer. And then Mick Schumacher had the big moment of the race with his wreck. Did you see that wreck, James?
Yes, yeah. His
Holy
car
cow.
cut in half. Yeah.
Scary when you're watching the broadcast and they won't show you the image because they're afraid something is wrong.
Yeah.
But fortunately, the gearbox, just the rear end of the car, just came apart. And
gotta love the I guess the poster boy Haas F1 team crash.
Right.
That we get at least once a year.
Yeah.
My
exactly.
Goodness. Yeah.
Another bad day for Haas. Both cars had trouble in this one.
Haas has been improving this year.
Yeah.
And Magnussen's scoring points for them, and it's going to come from Mick, too. They're really showing something here with those Ferrari engines. I just am surprised that they're doing so much better. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see them actually starting to move up the field. And then I was going to ask you, too, I think it might be over for Lewis.
Yeah.
I think we might have seen the end.
It's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it happens to everyone.
Yeah.
But I think
it doesn't.
it might be done.
It doesn't hurt. The Mercedes just isn't on it this year, and this series does that. You'll have teams that will just excel, and they're just better than everybody else, and it takes a year or two for everybody to catch up, and then there'll be a new one up front. But yeah, it's been weird to see for sure.
Yep.
I don't know. There's a car in the Cup Series right now that a 91 car that might fit really well for Lewis if he wanted to come and run a race.
Yeah, that would be great.
Can you imagine how big that would be if Lewis Hamilton came and run a Cup race?
Oh man, Eric, we missed that on the news last week. That came out after the pod, so I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, so just in case anybody didn't see this, Trackhouse and their owner Justin Marks is going to have a one-off car every once in a while for worldwide talent, European talent.
Yep.
And Kimi Räikkönen's going to come run Watkins Glen, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
To have Kimi back, and I know him and Kyle Busch have a history somehow, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm looking forward to seeing. Man, it'd be cool if Lewis Hamilton made a start, or Daniel Ricciardo. Those types of guys that are they're so famous now. These guys, Verstappen, and they're just names now with their talent. So and with that dang show. But people love them. So if we can get some of those guys over here, that'd be great.
I will give Formula One this. It is not the greatest race of the year, but I watched every lap of this sucker. And
it's one of the funnest tracks to drive in the video game.
Yeah.
Because
I hate it.
So technical.
I hate it. I'm
technical.
so bad there. So bad there.
It's hard to pass. It's so difficult.
Yeah.
You go so slow.
That's what's so funny about Leclerc being up front and then not winning the race, because you pretty much if you're on the pole, it's your race, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Unless you do something stupid. But I mean, fortunately, rain played into it, and rain made it interesting.
Yep. Yeah, so. I think, and I thought Leclerc was going to run away with this championship early on, but Verstappen, man, that Red Bull team, and Perez won this race, but man, Verstappen, that team they're going to be a problem here for a few more years, it looks like.
Yeah, well, he still ended up third, right? Wasn't he third?
He did. Yep, he podiumed.
So,
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Yep.
I
know his dad was upset.
Did
you see that?
No, I didn't.
His dad was upset. He thought Perez and the Red Bull team should have made a different call to allow Verstappen to. You know how F1 is.
Yeah, Formula One.
Yes. Yeah.
It feels almost icky spending this much time talking about Formula One.
Do you remember when Michael Schumacher hit the brakes a couple of times to let his teammate win a race because he felt terrible about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this F1, man. That's just F1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. This is icky.
Yeah.
We are not these kinds of people.
Let's go back to talking about cars with fenders. We had a couple more races this weekend with the NASCAR series at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The NASCAR Xfinity Series raced on Saturday. Josh Berry gets the victory after an incredible battle, though, with his teammate, Justin Allgaier. Fortunately, Allgaier wasn't too upset with the battle. They battled all race long for one, but the end it was spectacular. Allgaier ends up getting in the wall a couple times.
I
cuts
had
down the tire.
Allgaier in my picks.
Yeah, right. I know.
I was like, come on, Justin, you can do it.
Yeah. But just another great race for the weekend. I mean, I don't have a whole lot specifically to talk about in the Xfinity Series, but these junior motorsports cars continue to be the cars to beat in this series. Ty Gibbs did get a second place finish, but again, it was between these two JGR cars for the most part. And then not only that, but you got Sam Mayer finished third, Noah Gragson who finished fourth. Allgaier ended up seventh still with cutting the tire down. I mean, just you can't stop these guys. They're all over the place.
Yep. They are dominant. And there really was only one big crash too. That really shook up the field, and it wasn't really that much. It was more of those middle of the pack Ryan Sieg types.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's all JR Motorsports right now. It's I don't know. It's been Gibbs for such a long time that it's almost strange to see the dominance from another team.
Right.
Even though JRM is pretty legit.
Yeah, I mean you're talking a team right now that is just
stacked.
They're inches away, James. Inches away from being a Cup Series team. The Junior Motorsports is going to be a Cup Series team. I would almost be willing to bet that as soon as this new TV deal is finalized, I think we see a third 2311 team, and I think we see a couple Junior Motorsports teams come to the Cup Series.
Yeah, the money's too good.
Yeah,
which is great for us. I mean, we want more teams, more talent.
Yeah, and I think honestly, with the number of cars that are coming, you're going to see a couple more roster drivers in the Cup Series. NASCAR is going to open up a couple more rosters and fill out the rest of their field with roster drivers instead of having those open spots.
Yeah, we need to get back to 43 cars if this is going to be
at least 40, man.
Yeah.
So, but that'll open up some spots for these guys, and I'm sure it's not going to come cheap. But I guarantee you, Junior's looking at it. He's already talked about it. Denny says he wants a 3-car team. So those are coming.
Yeah.
Back to the Xfinity Series race. Jeb Burton not happy with Noah Gragson after the race. I shut the TV broadcast off, so I'm not sure if anything was shown on TV. There's a couple of videos. Noah Lewis has one of Noah Gragson walking from his car to the garage, and Jeb Burton just following along, just a bitching the whole way, kind of like one of those yappy dogs that just won't leave you alone.
Yeah. Yes.
So Gregson just kind of whatever. Noah asked him if he wanted to comment, and Gregson said no, he doesn't. He doesn't comment on people that don't win races. So
there you go.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but obviously Jeb wasn't very happy. I wonder, James, if there's a little bit of a holdover, or if the Burtons already don't have a real fond opinion of Gregson after the Harrison Burton Gregson fight last year. You know, so
I'm sure there's some family ties there. Yep.
Josh Berry, it's his fourth victory in 42 NASCAR Xfinity Series races. It is his first victory at Charlotte Motor Speedway, 2 races at Charlotte. Sheldon Creed, James.
Sheldon Creed
was the highest finishing rookie. And AJ Allmendinger leads the point standings by 33 points over Noah Gragson in the Xfinity Series.
Nice.
Truck Series was also in action on Friday night in North Carolina Education Lottery 200. Carson Hocevar dominates this thing.
Had it, yeah.
Did everything but win this race, and then takes himself out racing with Ryan Preece for the win. Actually really takes both of them out of contention.
Ryan Preece had a heck of a weekend. He was in all 3 races.
Yes, he did. He was busy. Yep. Not happy with Hocevar after the race, and Hocevar was probably okay with that because Hocevar wasn't very happy with Hocevar after the race either. Ross Chastain manages to get the win, leading only 4 laps to take the checkered flag and smash another watermelon on the front stretch at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Maybe that's what Chris Buescher hit.
Yeah, it could be. That could be it. Yeah. They had to wait a long time for that watermelon to come. Nobody apparently was prepared for that. Carson Hocevar leads 57 laps in this one. Only driver to lead close to that was Zane Smith, who led 52.
Zane Smith agitates me because he was so good. Then I picked him. And he was so bad. And now he's good again. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with him.
Yeah. I was looking pretty good with my Carson Hocevar pick. I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, he still scored well. So that was good.
Yeah, he did. Finishes 16th on the day. But what could have been? I mean, he's right there. He's going to get one.
I know. Man, I feel like we just talked about that last week, too, because he's on the cusp. It'll happen. It'll happen for him. Maybe this week, going to Gateway.
Could be.
Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, it was. I was going to comment, too. When do we see Kyle Busch run a Truck Series race and not lead any laps?
He was terrible.
He was mad, too. Yeah. He was angry. Basically said his team was crap.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, we didn't talk about him because he wasn't talked about all day. You kind of forgot he was in the race.
Yeah, I haven't seen him not lead a lap in a Truck Series race in a long, long time.
Yeah, so 7th place finish. He was only in the points at the end of the first stage. He finished 6th.
He's only got 1 start left in the Truck Series before he gets skunked on the season. So he better get it done.
Yeah, that's rough.
Run out of time.
Those KBM trucks, I don't know. They'll be a lot better next year when they're Fords.
I say that his average finish on the season is 3.8.
Right. Like I said, they'll be a lot better next year when they're Fords.
Which isn't as good as this 1.6 of last year, his rocketed 2019 where he finished a whopping 1st in every race he ran. So,
Ross Chastain gets his 4th victory in 99 Camping World Truck Series races. Lawless Allen was our highest finishing rookie in 22nd, and John Hunter.
I love that name every time I hear that.
Right. John Hunter Nemechek leads the point standings by 7 points over Ben Rhodes.
Eric, here's a good stat. Since I'm looking at the Kyle Busch Truck Series stats.
Yeah.
When's the last time Kyle Busch did not win a Truck Series race? What was the year? Without looking, can you remember?
Oh God.
It's been a long time.
I can't even tell you when was it. It's been forever.
He ran 3 races in 2012, had 3 top 5s, and got skunked on the win column.
Wow.
But he has won a Truck Series race every year except then. From 2005 to 2021, the only year he did not win a Truck Series race was 2012.
And that was he driving for his own team then?
That year he ran 3 races for. I bet you that was the first year with KBM. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, he was running those KBM trucks, and let me look at the year before.
The year before was not KBM because I was at that race in 2011.
No, yeah, he was. No, he was in KBM trucks the year before. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So when did he start running the KBM? Hold on, let me look at this.
Was it mid-season in 2011 that KBM started?
No, it's still. Hold on, 2010.
Because I swore in 2011 when we were at Daytona that he wasn't.
He started at 2010. It was 2010.
Okay.
And he was running a lot of Truck Series races back then.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Man, yeah. He was in the point standings back when you were allowed to do that. He was still ranked pretty high.
Yep.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, I always love the Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch stats are just fun for me. I get all geeked about him. Sorry,
yeah.
I derailed the pod.
He does too. He likes those stats. He's interested.
He
in those stats,
he loves those numbers.
Yep. I would too if I had those numbers.
Yeah.
Not much for news. We talked about the 91 car with Trackhouse. The only other thing really is they announced today that the championship race at Phoenix Raceway is sold out for the end of the season.
You can get grass seats if you want.
That's it. And as a congratulations to Phoenix, they're going to get the 2023 championship race as well.
Oh boy, lock them in.
Yeah. I'm
surprised they're going year by year with that race, though. It makes me wonder if that'll be the last one for a minute.
I don't know. I mean,
Boy, Eric, if Homestead is incredible with this new car,
right?
Come on.
Well, I mean, the thing is you, for one thing, you're limited because it's not going to go to an SMI track. It's going to stay at a NASCAR track, you would assume.
Yes.
And I was looking at the schedule, James. We don't go back to a NASCAR track now until I believe Michigan. I believe Michigan is the next NASCAR track we go back to.
Yeah, hold on.
Because Nashville is an SMI track.
Sonoma.
We do race at Road America, which is NASCAR sanctioned, I believe, but it's not a NASCAR track.
Well, did Pocono change ownership?
No, Pocono is still independently owned.
Yep. So yeah, we won't go back until Atlanta. No, yeah, after Atlanta 2 for the Cup Series. Yep. Or Michigan, excuse me. Yep.
Because I was looking at credentials on NASCAR's media site, because they haven't opened up yet for Michigan, and yeah, they're not NASCAR races up to that point. So, you know, the field is small as far as races that we could finish the season at. Obviously, Homestead is a logical choice, and Homestead was selling out prior to the pandemic, so who knows? I don't know.
We'll see.
Hopeful that they can figure things out with this car and improve the racing for the end of the season. You know, the thing is, James, is I would argue that these races are going to be decent regardless because of what's on the line. It's going to be better than what we saw in the spring, even if they make no changes.
Yeah.
Just because of the intensity and these guys are going to rise to the top. They're going to be racing together. But obviously it could be better at a better track. So
yeah, absolutely.
A little bit of a bummer, but I don't know. Give them a shot, I guess, and see what happens.
Yep. Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good race last year for the most part, and then the Xfinity Series race was incredible. So
I guess if you're going to take a track that's mediocre and you want to make it exciting, you put a championship race there. You got a track like Homestead that's already great. Why run the championship race there? It's already a great race.
Yeah, and you've got playoff elimination races too to consider in the future. So yeah, I mean it can move around. It's fine.
Yeah. So I mean you're not going to run it at Talladega. You're not going to run it at Daytona. You can't run it at Daytona. I believe the contract says you can't start and end the season at Daytona.
Yeah.
So what else you got where the weather's good that you can certainly run a championship race in November for NASCAR, you know?
Right. You can't run it at Michigan.
No, you're not racing at Michigan. Chicagoland would be a stretch. Yeah. I mean, it'd be tough anywhere else, really.
I mean, Las Vegas is another option down the road.
But that's SMI, you know?
Yep, but that's SMI, exactly. So, NASCAR's not giving up that date.
Nope. So, I guess they could swap the All-Star race, but who wants that?
Yeah.
So, with that, James, we go to a couple new venues this weekend. We're split across the country just about.
Yeah, we are.
The Cup Series and Truck Series are in the Midwest over in the St. Louis area at Worldwide Technology Raceway, formerly Gateway.
I know. I put Gateway in the notes just because.
Yeah, I've been calling it Gateway too. The Cup Series runs their first race there, which will be interesting. I'm curious to see. I know that from people that have visited the track in the past that the amenities were not necessarily at Cup level previously. I know they've made a bunch of upgrades there. My understanding, according to the credential applications, is there is not a media press box at Gateway, so that's interesting. I think that might be the only Cup Series track that falls into that category.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. We're running in the day, so we don't have to worry about the lights going out like they did last year during the truck race.
Yeah.
Likely why they made that decision.
Yep.
And it's not supposed to be 1,000,000 degrees either, because it potentially could be in this area of the country.
Yeah.
And then the Xfinity Series takes a venture up to the West Coast into Portland Raceway.
Man, yeah.
Get ready to watch a big wreck into Turn 1. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So,
Well, IndyCar races up there, so we'll see. I mean, they can pull off Mid-Ohio. They can race Portland.
Well, last year's ARCA West race up there was incredible, and we know what the ARCA Series is. So, and they do share the track with them this weekend, by the way.
Yep.
So we are coming off of the weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We were close on points. Well, no, we weren't. James beat me by 35 points, but we're still close now.
Still close overall. I made up the difference, and now we have a 10-point lead for me. So we're swapping back and forth. So Eric,
yes.
you go first this week.
I do get to go first, and I'm very happy about that, specifically for the Xfinity Series race.
Feeling comfortable. Yeah, I would imagine.
So I'm going to start with the Truck Series, James, and I'm going to go with a guy that has the best average finish here in the Truck Series of active drivers, and I'm going to go with Stuart Friesen as my pick for this race in the Truck Series.
Coming off of a win a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. Wasn't expecting you to go with Mr. Stuart Friesen. I think that's the first pick this year of Mr. Friesen.
Could very well be.
I am going to take Mr. Mo here, and I'll take Carson Hocevar.
There you go.
I'm going to take him because he's due.
Just for the record, he would have been my pick, but I picked him last week.
Yep, I'm going to take him here because he's going to break through eventually.
Yeah,
and I can't take John Hardy-Nemechek. So
Carson's been a front runner the last several weeks. So I mean, to be fair, this is not the style of track that he runs as well on. He tends to run really well on the 1.5-mile bank tracks. This is the flat track, but
yep.
Yeah. So we'll
see what he can do. Yep.
NASCAR Xfinity Series in Portland, the Pacific Automation 147, and
I feel like this is an easy one.
Yeah, I'm going with AJ Allmendinger, man.
Yeah.
Why would I not?
Why would you not? Exactly.
Like I said, as soon as I saw that I got to pick first, I was like all over this race.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I kind of was a little bit bummed. I kind of wish I would have only won by a few less points.
Yeah.
I'll take Mr. Gibbs here. He was really good on the road courses last year. I'm kind of a wild card race here. We don't know quite what Portland's going to deliver.
Yeah.
But I'll take Ty Gibbs. He's going to be fast. So
yep.
He'll be all right.
Yep. I feel like Noah Gregson's dark horse here because he runs well on road courses, but tends to do something stupid. Let's see, where's the audio clip? Right here.
Stepped on my ding dong there.
So, yeah.
Is Andy Lally running this race? That would have been a good one.
I don't know.
Andy Lally will come out and he'll show out for the road courses from time to time too.
I noticed last week that you forgot to do your Trevor Bayne pick with him.
I know. I thought about it.
He was running well.
He did. He didn't score as many points as Justin Allgaier though, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, he did all right. Speaking of wild cards and not knowing where to go, the Cup Series races for the first time in Gateway. It's the Enjoy Illinois 300. And James, I'm gonna go with the flat track guy. I'm gonna go with a guy who's has run well on flat tracks this year. He won the first flat track we raced at, and he finished second, I believe, at Martinsville. And I'm going Joey Logano as my pick for this one.
All right, that is. Hold on, Joey Logano hasn't been picked since I took him in the second. Oh no, I picked him twice. So never mind.
There you go.
Your first pick of Joey Logano for the year. I'm gonna be a little bit different than you here.
Speaking of which, Kyle Larson is the favorite to win this weekend, but he is every weekend, so it doesn't matter.
He's every weekend, yeah. I can't pick Mr. Larson. However, I can go off the board, and a guy we haven't picked at all this year, who I think might actually be really good here. I'm gonna go Chase Briscoe.
That's a good one.
A little bit of a reach, maybe, but
yeah,
he ran so well at Phoenix. That isn't an intriguing. I don't know. I feel like they're going to be shifting here. I think
they'd shift here with the old car. To be honest,
you think so? Yeah,
I think so. I think with 5-speed, they got to shift here.
Yeah, that sticks out to me. How he ran Phoenix maybe will correlate a little bit there, but I like Logano probably better than Chase. But I'm gonna do a little bit of a reach here and see what happens.
Hey man, he's running up front, so good shot.
Yep.
We both picked Fords, not Chevys, so
that's interesting too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Toyota, which is another
right. Yeah, we picked the worst manufacturer of the three right now.
Yeah, and I would say too, like a road course guy might be really good here. So you could see. I think AJ Allmendinger is actually running this race. I think he's coming up to run this race. So.
I think Ryan Blaney is a really good pick for this one too.
Yeah.
I did not pick him because I picked him last week. But Blaney also did well on the flat tracks.
Chris Bell sticks out to me.
Yeah,
as another
that's
one
true.
that might be good.
Like someone like Kyle Larson, you can't go wrong with Kyle Busch.
Yep. Bowman would be another one.
Yeah. William Byron even.
Yeah.
So,
Any of the Hendrick guys. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, those are some of the names that I was kind of mulling in my head, and I'm like, I feel like maybe taking a reach. And
none of us mentioned Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain has experience here.
Yep.
So
that's true.
I mean, that's something to look at too. Is none of the Cup drivers haven't raced here. Some of the Cup drivers
Keselowski, I think Keselowski may have raced here a while back.
Well, Keselowski got wrecked by Carl Edwards on the front stretch in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that was a wicked one. Yeah,
that was Keselowski's dad saying he's not going to kill my boy.
Yeah.
So
Carl Edwards.
Yeah.
Man, that was what a time to be alive.
That was a hell of a feud.
Yeah, and it culminated
very much one-sided feud too.
And there was a moment in time, at least a good, how long, Eric? Would you say 2 minutes of time where Carl Edwards thought he killed him?
Yeah.
Thought he killed Brad.
Oh, yeah.
And had
twice. Because he did it there and he did it in Atlanta.
And that's what I meant.
Yeah.
The Atlanta crash, I think Carl thought he killed him.
Yeah. That was
my God.
Nuts.
Yeah, that if you haven't seen that rivalry, Carl had some I don't understand. I always felt like Carl was a nice guy, but I don't think he was very well liked.
No, Carl had a temper. I mean, he about took Junior's arm off in the Xfinity Series race at Michigan when Junior spun him. And he held a grudge. Like, Keselowski wrecked him at Talladega, which really wasn't Keselowski's fault. It was Edwards trying to cut down on him. And, of course, Edwards went in the fence. And from that moment on, Edwards had it out for Keselowski, and I don't think Keselowski ever did anything else to him.
And he had a thing with Kenseth when they were teammates.
Yeah.
Twice. They were teammates 2 different times, and he never liked Matt Kenseth. So, it's just interesting. And you wonder why he can't get into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, yeah.
James, you showed me the Fantasy League this week. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah. I was not prepared to go down the fantasy. So I'm pretty sure Christopher Bell won me the league this week. And probably, Eric, would you say this is the worst performance our league has ever had?
I think across the board, yeah, for sure.
I had to share it with you because it made me laugh that we had, how many guys? 8 guys, 11 points apart.
Yeah.
And I ended up winning. I don't even feel good about saying it because I made up basically 0 ground on anybody. So I won with 173 points. Then we had a tie for second with 171, Justin 713, and Fast to the Grass. And then I feel like everybody needs to be named here because we were all so close. 4th place had 170 points. That's Freight Train and Green Eggs and Hamlin. And then 169 for Tandem Draftona. And then the champ is here, 168, and Hot Rod Todd, 162. So we had all those people under a blanket. And then Eric, you came in at 142.
Yeah, I got screwed. I know everybody got screwed by Rex, but I got screwed with that first big one that Blaney caused because it took out 3 of my drivers, and obviously I could only swap one out, and that one hurt pretty bad. So.
Yep, and I made a whopping 2 points up on the lead. So Green Eggs and Hamlin still first, Fast to the Grass second. I am third. We're all pretty close, and then Justin 713 is just outside at 2508. So we're all in the 2500 and above club right now, and it's the league is tight. It's pretty tight between first and I'd say you're still not that far back, Eric, in 8th.
I don't even care.
You're less than 200 points out.
So stupid.
It is. It's the dumbest thing. I won, and I just looked at it, and I went, what? It's so bad. Anybody could have won it last week, and it was, I just honestly can't remember it being that close. But what a terrible week to win.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, well. I'll take it.
Yeah,
the deep sigh after the fantasy league is always one of my favorites.
Right. I mean, I like the fact that everybody's into it, and we have got a decent amount of participation, but it causes me way more stress during the week than it should.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go before we get into the shout outs. I wanted to see what the Glucksters were saying about the Coke 600. 90.6 said yes, it was a good race.
The 22nd 90th pole all time.
Yep.
In the 90s, so pretty cool.
Second Charlotte Oval in the pole. So the 2019 All-Star race did just 0.2% better.
Yep.
So there you go. Shout outs this week. I wanted to shout out. So back before, when there were 2 races at Michigan International Speedway, the first race would have been coming up next weekend. Not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, for the June race at MIS. And the tradition prior to that was Wednesday night to race the Money in the Bank at Berlin Raceway. A bunch of the NASCAR drivers used to show up there and race late models at Berlin. The June race at MIS is no longer, but the Money in the Bank race is continuing, and they'll be back at Berlin on Wednesday night, June the 8th. I will hopefully be there as long as weather is good. That is my plan. James, I just wanted to run down some of the drivers that are in this race.
It's a good roster.
So there were, when they posted their entry list, there were 32 entered in this race, which already is great. We've got Bubba Pollard is in this race. Very well-known late model guy. Mike Garvey is pretty well-known. Carson Hocevar, Michigan's own Carson Hocevar, is running in this one. Terry Seneker, the Seneker name, racing in this one. We've got, let's see, Ty Majeski, pretty well known.
Stuck out to me, yeah.
And then, a little guy named William Byron is running in this race.
Yeah.
And just announced today, Michigan's own Eric Jones is also going to be in the field for the Money in the Bank at Berlin Raceway. So it's going to be tough for me to make it happen because we have to be in Gaylord at noon the next day. So opposite end of the state, pretty much, for those of you who aren't in Michigan. But I'm going to head down to Grand Rapids on Wednesday night, hopefully, and watch some late model racing. So.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
I was eyeballing the ARCA race in Berlin. My calendar might be open. I haven't confirmed that, though.
Yeah.
So
it's too bad the ARCA series just isn't better.
I know, but I was going to say that might be one where we could try to check it out possibly. So
I'm down.
I'll let you know. But yeah, let me know how that goes, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited for you.
I haven't been to Berlin. It was probably an ARCA race last time I was there. It was either ARCA or ASA. It's been a while. So
man, that's awesome.
Very excited. Every time I go, though, weather's threatening. So hopefully weather's good next Wednesday.
Right.
So, you got any shout outs, James, this week?
Yeah, I'll do a quick one. It's June. And you know what June means, Eric, for racing?
What's that?
The greatest series, the greatest spectacle in motorsport is back.
You are pushing it with that.
The Camping World SRX series is back this month. We are a mere 2 or 3 weeks away from the start of the SRX season. Give me all that.
Yeah. And you noted it there that Camping World has signed on to be the title sponsor once again this season.
Yep, and the car designs are coming out. They look pretty slick. Definitely got a little more pop of color than they did last year. A little cleaner look.
I'll have to look them up. I haven't seen them.
Yeah, they got some good-looking cars. Still got that gray in them, but they've got they're not as boxy as they were last year, in my opinion. So we'll see. We'll see what that means. I don't know.
Where's the first race for the SRX?
Oh, the SRX series. Hold on, you put me on the spot. I think they're starting it at Stanford again, aren't they?
I don't know.
Hold on.
I thought you'd be prepared. It's the best racing. What did you just call it?
It is the greatest racing series in this country.
You started to say something about greatest spectacle, and you can't say
that. It is the greatest spectacle.
No, the Indy 500 is the greatest spectacle. Speaking of which, man, James, when I got done watching that race, I'm like, man, we got to wait 365 days to watch another Indy 500. Man, I love that race.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, right?
Such a great race.
IndyCar's own Elio Castroneves is a SRX Series driver, so just so you know. We do kick off the season June 18th at Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida.
There you go.
And then we go weekly, Eric, which I can't believe I cannot believe they pulled this off last year, that they go weekly like this. But then we go to South Boston, Stafford, Nashville Fairgrounds, and then we hit the dirt at I-55 and Sharon Speedway.
Five Flag Speedway, by the way, famous for the Snowball Derby.
That's right. Pensacola, Florida.
Yep.
No
Yes, sir.
Eldora, no Knoxville, no Slinger this year, which is disappoints me.
Yeah, it's disappointing, but you got to make room for these other tracks too.
Oh, they're rotating it around.
Yeah.
And it is a summer series. I mean, it's just over a month long. They go from June 18th to July 23rd, and we're done.
They're going to prove again why NASCAR needs to do this with the All-Star race.
Oh, it's so much fun.
When
We
they
had so much fun.
packed Nashville Fairgrounds sold out to watch the SRX series,
Oh
to
my
watch
God,
a bunch
that
of
was great.
old guys
And
race.
Chase Elliott, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, and I looked at it as a bunch of old guys, but honestly, James, I forget which podcast was talking about it a couple weeks ago. They figured out how to tap into the people, the fans that are looking for somebody to cheer for in NASCAR, and maybe have stepped away from the sport by bringing back their favorite drivers to race.
Yeah, and you've got interest from some of the young crop too, because
Yeah.
Ryan Blaney's coming out, and Chase Elliott's coming back. So we're gonna have these guys back out there again this year. It's gonna be awesome to see a mix of some of the great talent that we have. Denny Hamlin's expressed interest. I'd love to see him out there, and then they've got the local guys coming in. The short track experts at their own speedways. They're going to be ringers in this series, and then of course Paul Tracy's back.
Right.
You know how much he loves me. So
Yeah.
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 Anyway,
He's got to be back. It makes it interesting. Just obviously can't tweet him. So, all right, James, it's time for our favorite part of the show.
Let's do it.
Time for Jackass Corner. You got a Jackass this week?
Why don't you go first?
All right, I will go first. James, I am going to go with the ARCA series as a whole on this one. I feel bad because our buddy the Orange Cone has a big part in the ARCA series, but these guys scare me when they run on these big tracks. We had a car wreck under caution on Friday night in the ARCA race. I don't know, man. It was easy picking this week because I really didn't have anybody to choose from. The racing was so good this weekend. It was really hard to pick a Jackass. So I had to pick somebody, and I decided to go this direction. But I don't know what we have to do. And I want the ARCA series to succeed. But I don't know. It's just not working right now. It's getting better. I think we're getting more turnout of drivers at least. But man, some of the experience in the series you got to get experience somewhere. But I think these guys need to cut their teeth on some short tracks a little bit more before they start running 1.5 and bigger.
Yeah.
Some scary stuff happens. Like I said, wrecking under caution on the backstretch.
Yep.
It's pretty silly. So.
I know. And the ARCA series. You love it, and you hate it all at the same time.
Yeah, I continue to watch it. I mean, the ARCA West is in Portland this weekend. I haven't pulled the trigger yet on Flow Racing, but I think I'm going to because there's so much good motorsports on there right now that I want to watch it. So maybe I'll check out the ARCA race up there too. But
yep.
I don't know. I want good things for it, but maybe we need to just go back to the short tracks and stay off the big tracks. I don't know.
Yep. Maybe. I don't know.
So
when they race at Daytona and
oh my God, Daytona and Talladega scares me.
Yeah, I'm surprised we get out of there with everybody.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I got an easy one.
Okay.
This is low hanging fruit, but the entire 23 car team for the way they handled that damage clock just is embarrassing. We didn't even talk. I can't believe we didn't talk about it earlier. But basically, what had happened was they fixed the car, took their sweet time, didn't get it up to speed, and the clock ran out because they basically forgot the rule that you actually have to run laps at full speed. So the car never actually got to full sail, and NASCAR said, "Nope, you're done. That's the end of your race." And that was a decent car.
Yeah, so, I mean, he qualified in the top 5.
Yep.
Which was amazing in itself. And then, both the 2311 cars all of a sudden are just competing. As I was watching that race, you got to give Bubba credit too, because obviously Bubba's done some stuff. But all I could think of, seeing Bubba run up front like that and Kurt Busch run up front like that, after dominating Kansas like he did, is just here is another team that Kurt Busch has come in and made better.
Yep, elevated the team again.
Just incredible what he continues to do. I mean, it's awesome.
That might be his legacy more than his championship.
Yeah, I think so.
And his Daytona 500 is the way he's done it with everybody. So
yep.
Yeah, I hated it for Bubba and those guys, but come on, y'all got to be better than that.
Yeah, I
You
was
gotta understand the rules.
I was eating my words, man, because I just said that they got to be better at tracks that aren't super speedways, and here's Bubba running in top 5 at Charlotte.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
So.
It's a bummer.
Yep. Well, James, where can they find you on social media if they want to chat with you this week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, show notes, links to articles we discuss, past race coverage, all that stuff. You can check it out there. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, wherever you found us today. We hope you subscribe and continue to listen. We go to 2 new locations this week. I guess the Truck Series is the only series racing somewhere familiar. NASCAR Cup Series makes their inaugural trip to Gateway, formerly Gateway, Worldwide Technology Raceway, the Xfinity Series for the first time on the road course in Portland. We'll be back next week to break it all down and talk about it, all the stories of the week. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.